I'm about to tell you a story that is another edition of the stupid moves that I have made. I went to the grocery store and I go to pay for my groceries and I look in my purse and no credit card. I had my Shoppers Rewards card, but no credit card. Nothing to pay with. The woman was very gracious and she said she'd ring up my order and put the card at customer service. I race home. Credit card is not where I thought it was. So I grab a different one, race all the way back to the store, pay for the groceries. Now I'm panicking, wondering if I've lost it somewhere and somebody is buying their Easter dinner on me. No one had turned in a credit card to customer service, so as soon as I got back to the car with my groceries, I called my husband and asked him to stop the credit card. While I drive home, go about my business. Later that night, we're going out, and I open the passenger side door of the car, and there, lying on the seat, is my credit card. I had been so panicked and so convinced that the credit card was either at home or lost in the store, I didn't even think to look in the car. Well, what does all this have to do with writing? Well, I decided, once my husband stopped laughing, to make use of this, and I thought about refining my character's arc. Instead of having her just be impulsive, she's impulsive about making decisions that she's so sure she has it right, or she's so sure she has to fix the problem right away. She overlooks the obvious and, of course, causes problems for her. So that's where we are. I'm revising The Girl Who Broke the Dark and am hoping to get that to my editor next month, so it will be out this fall. But in the meantime, we will continue reading from Flight of the Spark. The next thing she knew, Iskra was seated next to Osip and across from Tarkio and Hiko, eating food she'd never imagined. The pale brown bread was soft with a crunchy crust. One of the girls poured a steaming sauce from a pot into a clay dish. Iskra watched as the others tore off pieces of bread and dipped it in the sauce. Not wanting to be rude, she imitated them, then gasped as she tasted the warm sweetness, like honey mixed with a darker kind of sweet. She had barely swallowed when Celia set a clay pot the size of a large apple on the mat in front of her and handed her a spoon. The stew in the pot was like nothing she had ever tasted, a stew with a sharp taste that created a pleasing heat in her mouth, mixed with a subtle sweet. Iskra imagined it probably was made with some kind of wild game. She hoped it wasn't Orbor. "This is so tasty," she told Celia. "What meat is it?" "It's just our old cow." Celia laughed as Iskra blinked. "And a few herbs." "Herbs? You can eat medicine?" Celia smiled. "They're good for you, but I wouldn't call them all medicine." She pointed to the pots on the windowsills. "I forgot. You don't use them in the villages. Pepper and basil and anise. That's what I used tonight." Osip reached over and stroked his wife's cheek, brushing back a few strands of hair that had escaped from the bun on the back of her neck. "It's a blessing to me, whatever you use, woman. Keep feeding me like this, and I'll always come home." Celia swatted his hand away with a smile as she stood up. "Oh, get on with you." Iskra stared at them. They seemed to have affection for one another. Shouldn't barbarians be brutal and curt? She watched Celia pull another tray of little pots out of the oven and offer the steaming stew to her family. Riskers eat with such abundance. I was told they lived on roots and nuts. And what makes that sauce so sweet? "Tuli, fetch some candles, will you?" Osip asked. One of the girls stood and walked to a shelf, then returned with a metal candlestick that split into 3 branches. The 3 branches supported a ring. Sitting on the ring were 3 pale yellow-green candles, held in place by delicately wrought metal leaves that surrounded the candle. Iskra had never seen such a graceful candlestick. Tuli lit the candles. To Iskra's surprise, they gave off no odor or smoke. It was all so strange, she thought. What gives the candles that earthy color? And why don't they smoke or smell like rancid fat? She took another bite of stew, savoring the flavors. Far better than anything she'd ever eaten in the village, and the food seemed to have no limit. Most villagers ate their meals at the inn, since cooking was so dangerous. Portions were strictly rationed out, so everyone got their fair share, no more, no less. But here everyone just took what they wanted. Confused by what she was seeing, she listened to the chatter of the 3 girls, who she soon learned were Hiko's older sisters, Veressa, Fialka, and Tuli. She could see the family resemblance in every attractive face, all with skin in varying shades of golden tan, the girls with blue eyes like their father's, and the same confidence that stamped Hiko's features. Hiko seemed to be a year or 2 older than Iskra. His sisters were a little older. She puzzled a little over how old Tarkio was. He seemed about 25 when in the forest. Now, teasing Hiko's sisters, he appeared to be about their age. As the girls talked, Iskra glanced from one to another, endeavoring to match these lively, pretty girls with the uncouth savages she had always imagined Riskers to be. They all wore their long dark hair in different ways, not cut short like village girls. One even had braids. Their dresses were as different as their hair, one blue, one crimson, and the third a rich brown with some kind of complicated pleating on the bodice. No one Iskra knew had clothes that fine. And that's our writing update this week. I'm Evelyn Puerto, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks for stopping by.